Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of YouTube. This is Pastor Dow. You know, last night I made a video about a 66-year-old woman who had a person as well as her own private property invaded by an intruder. The intruder did not identify himself, so she negotiated the target very, very well. You can see that the woman was, she's not one of these type of people that presents herself as militant or someone who wants to go out and hurt or harm or do somebody any evils, wrong, or injustices. Yet, the point I want to make in this video right here is, docile as this old woman was, you saw the spirit of self-preservation kick in at a moment's notice when she had no other recourse. She had nothing else that she could do. All the options had ran out. She just purchased the 38, and she utilized the 38 in a very proficient way, even though she was scared half to death. What troubles me is the indoctrination of the 911 system and the police force. Because, you see, these people are so much out of touch. It's kind of like the TSA. How can you take a job working at the TSA because there's no other jobs available? I mean, Pastor Dow just couldn't do nothing like that. I cannot take a job that goes against my conscience. And, of course, I understand the reason why people can take a job like that, because their conscience is seared. And I know the timing of a seared conscience. And that's why people can take jobs and, they can just say, I'm doing my job. That's what the police does. I mean, you look at our country. We are putting fascism and communism and socialism to literal shame. We have just ripped the pages out of the book, and we have redefined what a communist country is all about. We go around and we tell all the other countries how they should be treating their citizens, and we go around grandstanding, politically playing musical gymnastics and mental gymnastics with people's minds, trying to make them believe that we're this so-called free country when we are a country that is in the biggest form of slavery that there is. But yet still, the Second Amendment says that Congress shall make no law whatsoever at all, to keep you from having your own firearms. I know if I quote it, you won't get it. Some of you won't get it. But every time we turn around, we seeing bills, laws, and executive orders that are constantly on the attack to prohibit our free exercise and our right to bear arms. Now, you have to understand, your rights, your liberty, and your freedom does not derive from government. It comes because you are freeborn by the sovereign creator of the universe, Almighty Yahweh himself. And I would just hate to see what would have happened. I can tell you exactly what happened. It would have been another one of those isolated incidents where some thug broke in, 37-year-old thug, broke into Grandma Donna's house. And she's 66 years old. There's no way that a 66-year-old woman can defend herself against a 37-year-old thug. And she would probably have been beaten, raped, sodomized, murdered. Who knows? What else? Who knows? She would have had all types of injustice perpetuated upon her and probably left for dead, if not dead. And by the time the police would have got there with their professional pen writing skills, they wouldn't have found the oppressor. They wouldn't have found the guy who did all these injustices. It's just not in them. That's why Pastor Dow teach you need to own a gun. You need to defend your person, because the police force, there's no law on the book stating that they have a right to protect you. That right comes from the spirit of self-preservation that is put deep down within your heart. You have to preserve your own self, your own liberties, and your own life. And don't depend on government ever to do it, because they're not going to do it. The only thing they'll do is they're there to do cleanup. That's all they're there for, to do cleanup, get the job done, because, hey, they're not going to be there to protect you in your person. And 66-year-old, the woman's alone, don't have any family members, nothing like that, but yet and still she successfully defended herself against all enemies. And this just happened to be a domestic enemy. And I do applaud her. And she is right. What troubles me more than anything is that if you have faith in this country that you will get a fair trial by the time the federal judges get finished gutting the case and tell the people what can be said and what cannot be said, and what you say is irrelevant. What can be brought into record to say no. Hey, you people that on jury trial, there's on the jury, you're not going to be getting the whole story. That's why you have to use self-autonomy, independent thinking, because by the time they get finished gutting the case, you're going to have something put up in front of you that doesn't even resemble the case. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to appeal to your feelings and emotions and not the facts. And, you know, hey, we have fluoride in the water system. And, of course, this fluoride is just like Prozac. It's just like taking Prozac every single day. And when you have a mercury chemically induced toxic environment, fluoride or fluorinated people functioning after this world system, can't you people see what it's all about? It's all about control. It's all about control. We've said it once, we've said it 1,000 times over the year. Hey, you control the food, you control the world, you control the populations. Hey, that's just all there is to it. And they don't want anybody getting any new ideas that you free. That's why that we're continually having this fight. We've got Braveheart sitting right in front of us all over again, and most people still got their head so far stuck in the sand and thinking that things are going to change. And you know, when all these calamities come up on you, like travail does a woman with child, you're going to find yourself not ready. Or ready or not, it's coming. I can't help to think what would have happened to that woman if she did not defend herself. You know, America is unique because you can go right here on YouTube and look at all these videos that are being perpetuated out here from Britain, who the whole country has stripped the citizens from owning any firearms, in Australia, from owning any firearms. Unbelievable. You know, I was listening to Lindsey Williams, and he made a very interesting observation, and his observation is this. The United States of America, the hunters, just the hunters alone in America, comprised of, if we look at it this way, 23 million people. That's the biggest standing foot soldiers or army in the world. And I just put it out there like that because, you know, in communist countries, the only people who really got all the guns and stuff is the government. And you watch and see. Here in America, our so-called elected officials who's supposed to be representing us, because you know the reason why that they call us representatives, right? Because they feel like we as people are too incompetent to represent ourselves. That's why you need to always represent yourself by preserving yourself, educating yourself, and protecting your own self, as well as those around you. Try to open up the eyes and at least give the information out to those who have ears to hear. Because none of these so-called representatives represent my best interests, or the interests of the people of this country. They represent the corporations, and they represent the fascist system of this new world order that's coming into play. They don't care nothing about you whatsoever at all. It's a dog and pony show, and you need to wake up. You need to just flat out wake up. But you need to bear arms. You need to really truly keep and bear arms. Because you don't want to end up like some of these countries. And look what's happening here in America, in cities where people have had the right to bear arms taken away from them by the elected officials. New York, Chicago, California. Those are places that automatically, if you are a person that has any sense whatsoever at all, you don't want to be in those states. I know that's a hard saying, but why would you want to live in a place to where you can't even protect yourself, even against your own government that has gone tyrannically mad against you? If you can't tell that they're gone mad, what does the Constitution say about the people having a right, freedom of protest? And is it not being taken away from us? We're being gassed. We're being flashbanged. We're being tear gassed. Veterans are getting hit upside the head with smoke grenades and knocking them out and stuff, and people are dying. 88 and 84-year-old women are getting maced in the face by the American police force. Where did they get this doctrine from? Now, mind you, the police is supposed to be your public servants. How are they serving you? We have a lot to think about. And, of course, you know the system don't want nobody like me talking because they don't want you, the people out there, to get any so-called new ideas. I told you, I just got finished coming back from a meeting in Florida where I asked a young high school person a simple question. I said, who is Hitler? You know what he told me? He told me the same answer, if I would have got any answer whatsoever at all, out of this generation right here. He was a president. Remarkable, isn't it? Remarkable. And you wouldn't believe how many of you have never even heard of him, much less even know who he is. Dumbed down to an unprecedented level. You can't make this stuff up. You simply just cannot make this stuff up. Now can't you see the reason why that we don't know anything? See, because if you don't know who you are, how can you understand what you need to be doing? You've been told in this country by the biggest satanic religion ever perpetuated upon mankind, in the history of mankind, of the world. You've been told and conditioned and trained to call yourself a Christian. Now, in this country, you have a right to freedom of religion. Worship a rock, worship a tree, worship a devil, worship anything you want to. I wouldn't advise that, but that's your prerogative. But what's disturbing is you're calling yourself something that is pagan and satanic, and you refuse to go do the research your own self and educate yourself, and then you turn around and you attack somebody like me, which you are using my ancestors' ancient book that was given to them and to me by the creator of the universe to perpetuate your lies. Go get the Buddhist book. They'll agree with you more. Go get the Hindu book. They agree with you Christians more. You need to go get their books. Don't use the Hebraic scriptures. Don't use the scriptures of the Hebrew Israelites, the ancient Hebrew Israelites. Don't use our prophets, Moses, Jesus, David. Don't use our Messiah, Jesus, Yahshua HaMashiach, to perpetuate your lies and say that you have a right to be lawless. And you don't have to keep no commandments, and you can do whatever you want. That's what's trouble. That's the reason why I thunder so loud. Because I'm telling you, this fluoride is done taking root in the minds of the people. They can't even think no more today. Just can't even think. You know, hey, every Friday night from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., I have a radio broadcast. And I'll put it into this video. blogtalkradio.com/straightway. I also have a live video feed. Every Friday night, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. It would do you well to come on in, because sometimes I open up the phone for 2.5, 3 hours. We have 2.5, 3 hours, 2 hours worth of phone calls where many of you who can't get in touch with me, who desire to, you can, that's definitely one time you can get in touch with me, because, you know, Pastor Dow is a very busy man. I appreciate each and every last one of you for hearing me out. I hope I said something to stimulate your thought, because I understand that unless a leader gets up here and says something to stimulate your thought, otherwise we would never even think about these things. You need to really truly get serious about being informed. Remember, y'all's people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge because they reject knowledge. And the reason why they reject knowledge is because all people refuse to humble themselves and pray. When I say all people, I'm talking about all of the Israelites. We refuse to humble ourselves and pray and seek his face. We have lived a life of convenience, and we threw out obedience. And we don't want to be obedient to nothing but the own dictates and mandates of our own heart, which is just flat out evil and desperately wicked. And that's the truth, and that's the truth straightway.